Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer. The 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 is a very capable vehicle, but when it comes to winter weather, if you're looking for an easy set of chains just to give you an extra bit of traction in some really mild winter weather conditions, or just something to keep in the back to keep you legal in your state, then I think the Titan chain cable snow tire chains could be a good fit for you. And we're going to be taking a look and installing them today on our tire size 275/65 R20. You've got this cable that runs around the perimeter of the tire, and it's going to be the same thing that goes across the tire too. But we've got these rollers that will be over top, and that's going to be the thing that gives us a bit of a raised profile here and helps us get that extra traction going through snow. Now, the rollers will be rounded, so not super aggressive, not very high profile, and it's going to just be a little something extra. That's why it's really for those mild conditions and not going to be ideal for ice because there's nothing here to break that ice up. But you'll notice that they're arranged in a ladder pattern, which just means that it goes in links perpendicular across the tire, helping us get better traction on starts and stops. But it will give us a somewhat bumpier ride quality because we go on the cable, off the cable, on the cable, off the cable. And it can just be a bit bumpier, but because of that low profile, you probably won't feel it too much. Now these are going to be constructed of a low carbon steel, not as corrosion resistant as something like an alloy steel. So when you're done using these, just let them dry before putting them away. That'll help them last a bit longer. And it will be a bit of a softer metal, so these rollers here might be prone to denting over time, and you might find that they don't roll as smoothly. And while these chains do have adjustments to fit them to your tire, there's no built-in tensioning device, so the fit overall is okay. We always recommend, though, adding something like a rubber tensioner. These are sold separately, but you can find them here on our site, and it's going to be something that draws all that extra slack out of the chain to make sure you get a nice, strong, and secure fit on the tire. It's going to make it much safer going down the road. These do come in a kit of 2, so 1 for each side of the vehicle, and they come with a carrying case. It's a little bit hard to get them back in here because those cables don't want to coil up super tightly, but it's definitely not the worst bag out there. It'll get the job done for something this light duty. And it's really handy if you are just keeping this on your vehicle for legal reasons because your state requires you have them. Something like this keeps them together and orderly, and it's really easy to fit under the back seat of your Sierra. But if emergency strikes and you do have to use these, you want to know how to put them on. Something to be aware of is that they will be not the easiest set to install because they require you to get underneath the vehicle and make a connection behind the tire. Most of your ladder pattern style chains are like this, but because your Sierra has such good clearance, it's not too bad overall. Just really only is a problem if there's a ton of snow on the ground. You can find more premium options on our site that don't require you to do that, but for a basic set of chains, I think this is going to be just fine. And if you follow along, we'll show you how to get them installed so you can know how to do it yourself. The first thing you want to do for your installation is just lay the cable out and make sure that nothing's tangled up or damaged. And once you've identified all that and it's looking good, you can put it on the tire because there's really no specific direction this has to go. There are these small cleats here where there's an open end, and on the other side, it's a bit more solid and smooth. I'm going to have that smooth side facing down so it's touching our tire. Not that this small cleat will be very abrasive, but generally things like that we want to face away. Get this on the tire. I'm going to drape it over, grabbing it in the middle, carefully laying it over the top of that tread, and trying to get it centered. So I'll push it back a little bit, and side to side, those rollers can help us space it out. But I'm going to make my first connection at the bottom around the back of the tire. Luckily, we've got a good amount of room to work back here, but on my side, there's going to be this catch plate, and on the side by you guys, there's going to be this series of studs. We just want to feed those studs through the catch plate and find the right one for our tire. So you don't want to pull too tight because that front side isn't fully sit in place right now. we'll have to make the same connection over there, and you want that tension to be even. So probably back off by 1 here. That's probably good. If need be, I can always come back and tighten this up later if I need to. But that's why we recommend doing this in the driveway or the garage once or twice before you get going, because one of these studs will work best for your tire, and it's better to find that out now while we're inside or just on some pavement before the snow hits and before we really need to know. But we'll go around front and do the same thing. Fitting about the same there. One thing I didn't directly mention, but I did do back there, you probably saw, was secure the excess cable with this secondary catch plate, just so it's not flinging around and potentially damaging our vehicle. Now this is the point that you would grab those rubber tensioners if you picked them up and get those installed, because this is all that comes in the kit. But we still do have a fair amount of slack that needs to get pulled out somehow. So if you opted for the rubber tensioners, you'll just apply them in a star-shaped pattern around the cable here, and just try to apply them evenly too, so that they're pulling properly across the whole cable and not too much from one side. And I always like to face those hooks away from the tire too. But you can see we're drawing a lot of that slack out. We're getting a much more snug fit. And at this point, you can repeat that process on the other side. Once you've done that, drive over them a couple times and come out to check on them, because as you drive, the chain will settle on the tire. And while the rubber adjuster here can pull some of that extra slack out as it settles, you may need to go and tighten them up on the studs of the actual cable chain here to get the proper fit. But once you've done that, you're ready to hit the road. That'll do it for our look at and installation of the Titan Chain cable snow tire chains on our 2024 GMC Sierra 2500. My name's Aiden, and thank you for watching.